Before we begin, remember, every word of this story is true. This isn't a Hollywood script, it's the documented nightmare of the Broberg family. In the 1970s, a predator didn't break into their home. He was invited in, called their best friend, and given a seat at their table. This is how the most dangerous monsters hide in plain sight. Imagine a world of Technicolor suburbs, where the grass is a perfect shade of emerald, and the neighborhood church is the beating heart of the community. In Pocatello, Idaho, Bob and Mary and Broberg are living the American dream with their 3 beautiful daughters. They are people of profound faith, a family that believes in the inherent goodness of their fellow man. But their sanctuary is about to be breached by a man who understands their kindness better than they do themselves. When Robert B. Berchtold moves in across the street with his wife Guy and their children, he doesn't just introduce himself, he performs a masterpiece of social engineering. B is charismatic, energetic, and possesses a smile that seems to radiate warmth. He quickly becomes the perfect neighbor, the kind of man who brings over freshly caught fish and fixes your broken fence without being asked. But if you look closer, past the charming facade, you'll see the cold, calculating eyes of a hunter who has finally found his perfect prey. The grooming begins almost immediately, and it is a masterclass in psychological manipulation. B doesn't target the children first, he targets the guardians. He identifies the subtle fractures in Bob and Mary Ann's marriage, the quiet routine of a religious life that has left them both yearning for something more. He becomes a mirror, reflecting back to them exactly what they feel they are missing. For Bob, B becomes the brother he never had, a confidant who listens to his midlife anxieties in the quiet of the garage. For Mary Ann, he becomes a source of emotional excitement, a man who offers her the kind of undivided, focused attention that her busy husband often overlooks. But while he is winning the parents over, his true focus remains on Jan, the eldest Broberg daughter. He starts by establishing a special bond with her, one that is built on secrets. He tells her, "Jan, you have a light inside you that most people can't see. But I see it. We have a connection that goes beyond this neighborhood." He creates a private language of inside jokes and small gifts, slowly pushing the boundaries of what is appropriate under the guise of being a fun uncle. As the weeks turn into months, B introduces a narrative so bizarre and terrifying that it seems impossible any child would believe it. But B isn't just any man. He is a master of gaslighting. He convinces 12-year-old Jan that she is at the center of a galactic war. Using a modified tape recorder and metallic, distorted voices that he plays for her in private, he tells her that she is being monitored by advanced beings from a planet called Zergan. These entities tell her through the headphones, "You have been chosen, January. You must follow the instructions of Brother Berchtold. He is your protector. If you fail the mission, or if you tell anyone, including your parents, the ships will come, and your family will be destroyed." The camera of our minds should see Jan huddled in the back of B's car, the moonlight reflecting off her terrified eyes as she listens to these mechanical voices. She isn't just a girl anymore. In her own mind, she is a soldier for a master race, and the only person she can trust is the man who is systematically stealing her childhood. The tension reaches a breaking point as B prepares for his most audacious move yet, the first kidnapping. He has spent months desensitizing Bob and Mary and making them so comfortable with his presence that the idea of him taking Jan on a short trip seems perfectly normal. On a bright afternoon, Bob waves goodbye as Jan climbs into B's motorhome, thinking she's going for a day of horseback riding. He has no idea that he is handing his daughter over to a monster. As the hours turn into a day, and the day turns into a night of silence, the atmosphere in the Broberg home shifts from slight concern to a suffocating, visceral panic. Mary Ann stands in the kitchen, her hands trembling as she realizes that the best friend they trusted has vanished with their child. But even in his absence, B's control is absolute. He has left behind a trail of psychological landmines, letters and recordings that play on the parents' guilt and religious shame, ensuring they are too paralyzed to call the police immediately. Inside the motorhome, Jan is living a waking nightmare. B has drugged her to keep her compliant, and when she wakes up, he doubles down on the alien mythology. He tells her that the bad aliens have taken over Idaho and that they're on the run to save the human race. He whispers to her, "Your parents don't want you, January. They signed you over to the mission. I'm the only one who loves you enough to keep you safe." This is the ultimate betrayal, the erasure of her parents' love. As they cross state lines into Mexico, Bee isolates her further, taking her to a place where the language is foreign and her surroundings are alien. He forces her to write letters home, dictating the words as tears stream down her face. "Dear Mom and Dad, I am happy. I love Bee. Please don't look for me, or the entities will get angry." Every word she writes is a nail in the coffin of her former life. While back home, the FBI finally begins a frantic search, realizing too late that the neighbor everyone loved was a wolf in sheep's clothing. As the investigation into Jan's disappearance goes nationwide, the FBI enters the Broberg home, and the atmosphere shifts from domestic warmth to a cold, clinical crime scene. Special Agent Pete Welsh, a man who has seen the worst of humanity, is immediately struck by something unsettling. The Brobergs aren't acting like typical victims. They are hesitant, guarded, and seemingly terrified of offending the man who stole their daughter. What the FBI doesn't realize yet is the depth of the field of influence Bee has established. Through a series of flashbacks and tense present-day interrogations, we see the true extent of the leverage Bee holds. During the grooming phase, Bee didn't just target Jan. He seduced the parents into their own moral compromises. He holds secrets, secret recordings and photographs that could destroy Bob and Mary and standing in their church and their community. This is the genius of Bee's evil. He has turned the parents into his silent partners. Every time they think about shouting for help, they hear Bee's voice in the back of their minds, reminding them of their own sins. In Mexico, the situation turns even darker. The vibrant, dusty streets of a small Mexican town become a maze for a 12-year-old girl who has been told that the entire world is out to get her. Bee moves her from one rundown motel to another, keeping her in a state of constant sleep deprivation and fear. He tells her, "The FBI aren't men, January. They are shells inhabited by the entities. If they find us, they won't take you home. They will take you to a laboratory." To Jan, every police siren in the distance isn't a sound of hope, it's the sound of a predator closing in. Bee's manipulation has reached a level of total psychological occupation. He has replaced her conscience with his own. One of the most heartbreaking scenes occurs when Bee forces Jan to sit in a dimly lit room and record a message for her parents. You can see the exhaustion in her eyes, the way her spirit has been dimmed. She recites his lies like a script. "I am doing the mission's work. Bee is my husband now in the eyes of the Zergonians. You must let me go." Back in Idaho, the FBI finally catches a break. Through a combination of phone tracing and local tips, they pinpoint Bee's location in Mexico. The rescue operation is a chaotic blur of heat and shouting. When the authorities finally burst into the motel room, they don't find a girl who is relieved to be saved. They find a girl who is terrified, screaming for Bee to protect her. As she is pulled away, the camera focuses on Bee's face. He doesn't look like a caught criminal. He looks like a martyr. He shouts to Jan, "Remember the mission. Don't let them break you." Even in handcuffs, he is still delivering orders. The journey back to Idaho is not a triumphant return. It is a funeral procession for the family's innocence. Jan is placed in the backseat of a car, staring blankly out the window at a world she no longer recognizes. Her parents are waiting for her at the airport, their faces a mask of grief and relief. But when they reach out to hug her, she flinches. To her, these people are strangers who betrayed the mission. The final act of this initial nightmare takes place in a courtroom and within the quiet, fractured walls of the Broberg house. Bee's legal team is as manipulative as he is. They lean into the close family friend narrative, suggesting that Bee was having a mental breakdown and only wanted to protect Jan from some imagined threat. They use the Brobergs' own religious culture of forgiveness against them. In a chilling confrontation, Bee manages to look Bob in the eye and say, "I did what you couldn't do, Bob. I loved her the way she deserved." The audacity of his claim is enough to make your blood boil. Despite the evidence of kidnapping, Bee's web of blackmail, and the lack of understanding regarding grooming in the 1970s allows him to be released on bail. The monster is back on the street, and worse, he is back in the neighborhood. The closing scenes of episode 3 are some of the most haunting in the series. We see the Broberg family sitting at their dinner table, the same table where Bee used to sit and pray with them. The silence is heavy, broken only by the sound of silverware against porcelain. Jan is there, but she is a ghost. She is constantly looking out the window, looking for the lights in the sky, looking for the man who stole her reality. Bob and Mary and look at each other across the table, the weight of their secrets and their failure as protectors hanging between them like an invisible wall. They have their daughter back, but they have lost her soul. And as the camera pans out, we see a car slowly drive past the house. It's a familiar car. B is watching. He knows he isn't finished. He has broken the family once, and he knows exactly how to do it again. This story forces us to look at the darkest corners of human trust. It is a philosophical tragedy that asks, what happens when our best intentions are used as weapons against us? The Brobergs weren't bad parents. They were people of extreme faith in a world that didn't deserve it. Their story is a warning that the most dangerous predators don't live in the woods. They live across the street, they attend our churches, and they call us friend. It is a reminder that innocence is a fragile thing, and once it is shattered by a master manipulator, the pieces never quite fit back together the same way. The true horror isn't just the kidnapping of a body, but the systematic kidnapping of a mind. As the screen fades to black, the nightmare is far from over. If you thought the first kidnapping was the end, you aren't prepared for what happens next. Robert Berchtold is about to play a card so devastating that it will force the Brobergs to do the unthinkable. They are about to let the wolf back through the front door. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss part 2, where we dive into the second abduction and the total collapse of the Broberg family's world. The truth is stranger and much darker than you can imagine. See you in the next one.